Welcome. Find a place where your body can be still, soft pillows, warm blankets, and let your eyes close. Whenever you are ready, let your shoulders fall, soft and heavy. Let your jaw soften. Let your hands rest, open and easy. Tonight, we will travel together, far away, to the wide green steppes of old Mongolia, a land of endless sky, where the wind moves like a slow river through the grass, where horses run freely and the stars hang so low you could almost touch them. Three quiet tales from a very long time ago will carry you gently into sleep. So breathe in slowly and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out, and let us begin. Our first tale, The Old Man and the Flying Horse. Long, long ago, there lived an old man on a quiet green hill. His name was Boldogui Bor, a mischievous old fellow, the kind of man who smiled to himself when no one was watching. His hut was small and made of weathered wood. The roof was patched with soft gray moss, and a thin trail of blue smoke rose from the chimney, drifting slowly into the wide sky. He had 7 small brown ewes and 2 gray horses. One horse could fly, and one could not. The flying horse he tied to the western side of his small wooden hut, where the sun set each evening in soft orange light. The other horse he tied to the eastern side, where the morning came gently each new day. Every evening, the old man would sit outside his hut on a flat, warm stone and watch the 7 brown ewes graze in the cool blue grass. He counted them quietly as the light turned to gold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All present, all safe. The wind would whisper through the valley, carrying the soft, low notes of a distant fiddle, and the warm smell of wildflowers, clover, and mountain thyme, and small yellow blossoms that only opened at dusk. The flying horse would fold his great wings against his back and rest his head against the wooden post. His breath was slow. His eyes were kind. The other horse, on the eastern side, would lower his head into the long grass and chew with quiet patience. One quiet night, the old man looked up at the great Mongolian sky, at the sky goddess Indra, watching from among the stars. The stars were many and bright, and they hung so close, it seemed he could gather them in his hands, and he made a small, sleepy wish, that one of his ewes would bring forth a white-faced lamb to offer to the heavens. He whispered the wish so softly that only the wind could carry it. Then he laid his head down on a sheepskin pillow and slept, while the flying horse kept watch in the west, and the other horse listened to the night in the east. Days passed, slowly, gently. The grass grew taller, the wildflowers opened. The winds shifted from cool to warm, and back to cool again. The ewes grew rounder, and slower, and softer. And one quiet morning, just as the mist rose from the grass, the small-eared ewe, the smallest of all, brought forth a tiny lamb with a face as white as new snow. Her wool was soft as cloud. Her eyes were dark and gentle. She made the smallest sound, a small bleat like a whisper. The old man knelt down in the dew-bright grass and smiled, a long, slow smile. He carried the little lamb back to his hut, wrapped in a soft brown blanket. He fed her warm milk from a wooden bowl. He hummed an old song, a song his own grandmother had once hummed to him, long, long ago. And that night, he carried the little lamb beside him as he slept, beneath the endless stars, his flying horse keeping watch in the west. The other horse breathed gently in the east. The 6 other ewes rested in a soft circle on the hill. The wind moved slowly through the grass, and the soft wind drifted across the steppe, carrying the old man and his small flock into a long, peaceful. Our second tale, Halebu, the hunter. In another time, in another part of Mongolia, where the grasslands met the high mountains, there lived a hunter named Halebu. He was a tall man with kind eyes and hands that were calm and steady. He was known across the land for his heart of gold. He hunted only what he needed and never hurt a living creature in vain. The children of his village loved him. The old people trusted him. The dogs followed him without fear. One quiet afternoon, while walking through a dense pine forest, Halebu heard a sound from above, a small, frightened cry. He looked up through the tall green branches and saw a great vulture carrying a tiny white snake in its talons. The little snake twisted gently in the air, too small to fight, too small to escape. Without thinking, Halebu raised his bow and gently loosed an arrow. The arrow hummed softly through the air. The vulture let go, and the small white snake fell, softly, into the cool grass. Halebu knelt down beside the little snake. He looked at her with quiet kindness, and he let the little snake slip away into the trees. He walked home through the slow forest light, and he thought no more of it. The next morning, when he returned to the forest, he found the white snake waiting for him on a smooth gray stone at the edge of a small clearing. But this time, she spoke. In a voice as soft as falling petals, she told him she was a daughter of the Dragon King, who lived deep within the mountain, and she wished to take Halebu to meet her father so that he could be rewarded. Together they walked through the still forest, where the trees grew taller and older with every step. The ferns grew thick, the air grew cool, and they came at last to a great cave in the heart of the mountain, lit by 1,000 soft blue lights. The Dragon King welcomed Halebu with a slow bow. His scales shimmered like a river at dusk. His voice was deep and patient and kind. He showed Halebu chambers filled with luminescent pearls and sparkling gemstones in colors Halebu had never seen. Soft greens and warm golds and quiet blues like the morning sky. But the daughter had whispered to him before they entered to ask only for one thing, the precious stone kept in her father's mouth. Halebu refused the treasures. He looked at the chambers of pearls and bowed. He looked at the gemstones and bowed again. He spoke gently and asked only for the stone. The Dragon King smiled, a slow, knowing smile, and gave the stone to him. The stone was warm and small and the color of an evening sky. The daughter walked with Halebu to the edge of the forest, where the trees thinned and the grass began, and she told him a quiet secret. The stone would allow him to understand the language of every animal in the world, every bird, every deer, every fish in the river, but he must never repeat what he heard to another person. If he did, he would slowly, gently turn to stone. Halebu placed the warm stone beneath his tongue and listened. The wind in the pines spoke softly. A crow on a branch told the story of his morning. A small fox under the roots told the story of her 3 small kits. Halebu thanked the daughter and walked home, his heart full of quiet wonder. For many years, Halebu lived peacefully with his gift. He could hear the eagles speaking of the wind, the deer speaking of the mountain, the river fish speaking of the moon. The hens in his yard told him when the storm clouds were coming. The horses spoke of the deep, cold winters and the long, warm springs. He shared more food than ever with his village. He always knew where the rabbits were soft and plump. He always knew where the wild berries had ripened. He always knew which river bend held the most fish. The villagers loved him deeply. Then one evening, at the edge of the forest, Halebu overheard a flock of small birds in a low willow tree. They spoke of a great storm coming, a storm that would soften the mountain and let the river rise across the valley. The villagers, they said, must move to higher ground. The waters would come fast, and the night would be long. Halebu hurried home through the dusk and told his neighbors. But the villagers were tired and confused. They did not understand. The sky was clear. The river was quiet. The birds were singing. They asked him how he could know such a thing. He could not say. He could not tell them. He stayed silent and looked at the ground. But they would not move. They would not leave their gears. They would not pack their carts. And so, slowly, softly, Hylabu told them the whole story. The vulture, the white snake, the dragon king, the cave of blue lights, the stone, the language of the animals, the promise he had made. As he spoke, his feet became still and turned to warm gray stone. Then his ankles, then his legs, then his hands. The villagers watched, wide-eyed, as the change moved gently up his body. His chest rose and fell, one last slow time. He smiled, and gently, peacefully, Hylabu became a stone statue on the hillside. In their wonder and their love for him, the villagers wept softly, and then they moved. They packed their things. They gathered their cows and sheep. They lifted their children onto the carts. They climbed the long path to the high green meadow above the valley. That night, the wind began to rise. The storm came, as the birds had said. The rain fell in long silver sheets. The river rose. The valley filled with quiet water that sparkled in the morning sun like a vast silver lake. But the village was safe. Every child slept warm in the high meadow that night. Every animal was counted and fed. Every grandmother was wrapped in a soft wool blanket. And every spring, for hundreds of years after, the people would visit the stone statue of Hylabu on the hill and leave wildflowers at his feet. Pale blue ones, soft yellow ones, tiny white ones like the face of the little snake. And the wind carried his story across the steppe, again and again and again. Our third and final tale, The Wolf and the Sheep's Bundle. Far to the south of the great mountain, where the steppe rolled gently toward the horizon, a thin gray wolf was walking along a quiet road. He was small and tired, and the wind moved through his soft gray fur. He had not eaten in 2 days. His paws were soft and tired. His belly was empty. His ears were low. He walked slowly, slowly along the dusty road, past the long grass, past the small purple flowers, past a single old tree leaning toward the south. And then, on the side of the road, he saw something curious, a small bundle lying in the grass. The wolf bent down and sniffed it. His stomach grumbled softly, but just before his teeth touched it, the little bundle spoke. "Dear wolf," it said in a tiny, gentle voice. The wolf jumped back in surprise. He looked left, he looked right, he looked at the bundle. "Dear wolf," it said again, "please do not eat me. I am very small, I am very thin, I would be no meal at all." The wolf tilted his head. He was hungry, but he was patient. He waited. "To the south of here," the little bundle said, "in the next valley, there is a horse, a great brown horse. He is sleeping in the sun. He is much, much bigger than I am. Go and find him instead." The wolf paused and tilted his head the other way. "A horse," he said softly. "Yes, a horse would be a fine meal." So the wolf left the little bundle in the grass and walked slowly, slowly south. Over the gentle hills, his paws soft on the warm earth, through fields of soft purple flowers that brushed against his sides, past a shallow river that whispered to the stones, past a small flock of birds that did not even rise from the grass as he passed. The afternoon sun was warm on his back. The wind was kind. The road was long. And after many quiet miles, he came to the edge of a wide green valley. And there, in the middle of the valley, indeed, a great brown horse was sleeping in the warm afternoon sun. The horse was huge. His coat was the color of dark honey. His mane was long and soft. His breath rose and fell, in a slow, steady rhythm. The wolf sat down at the edge of the valley and watched. The horse breathed in and out, in and out. The grass swayed gently beside him. A small yellow butterfly drifted past his nose. The horse did not stir, and the wolf felt very, very sleepy. He had walked so far. He was so tired. The sun was so warm. The grass was so soft. He laid his head down on the soft grass. The sun was warm. The wind was kind. The horse was peaceful. He could no longer remember why he had come. He could no longer remember the road. He could no longer remember the little bundle in the grass. His eyes grew heavy. His paws grew still. His breath grew slow. And the wolf, before he could even remember why he had come, fell into a long, long dream. And in his dream, the little bundle smiled, and the wolf smiled too. And the brown horse slept on, and the steppe was quiet, and the sky was wide, and everything was still. So now, dear listener, let your own breath follow the breath of the brown horse. In and out. In and out. Slowly and softly. The flying horse still waits on the western hill, his wings folded, his eyes closed, his breath calm. The stone statue of Halebu still watches the green valley. The wildflowers grow at his feet. The wolf and the brown horse still sleep in the warm sun, side by side, quiet and peaceful. The old man and his small white lamb still dream beneath the endless stars. The white snake still rests in the cool ferns of the forest. And you, wherever you are safe and warm and gently drifting into sleep. Let your shoulders soften. Let your hands rest. Let your breath grow long and slow. The steppe is quiet. The sky is wide. The stars are kind. Good night. Sleep well.